What's happening in Yemen right now? Yemen is currently going through the world's worst humanitarian crisis. But first, let's get some context. This is Yemen. It's neighboured by Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Iran, and Oman. There has been an ongoing civil war plaguing Yemen since the beginning of 2015. Since March 2015, Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates have led a coalition of states in Yemen against the Houthi forces, a military rebellion group. The Houthi forces controlled much of the northern and central parts of Yemen, and Saudi Arabia and the UAE controlling the southern parts. As coalitions become fractured and a corrupt government failing to take ownership of problems, inevitably innocent men, women and children get caught up in the war for power. Now let's talk about the recruitment of child soldiers. From the beginning of the civil war, all sides have recruited child soldiers, some as young as 15 years old. According to the Secretary General of the Human Rights Council, it's an estimated 3,034 children have been recruited since the start of the Yemen war. As a result of these armed conflicts, civilians now suffer from a lack of basic services, such as an education, an unstable economy, a scarce healthcare system, and a fragmented leadership. Here are some important facts and figures around the crisis. 21.2 million people require urgent humanitarian assistance. 9.9 million of those are children. 3 million are now suffering from acute malnutrition. 3.2 million are internally displaced. An estimated 14.8 million people lack access to basic healthcare. 14.1 million are at risk of hunger, equivalent to the combined populations of London, Birmingham, and Glasgow. The UK's involvement in the Yemen war. Since March 2015, the coalitions led a number of airstrikes, killing thousands of civilians and destroying their homes whilst violating the laws of war. These airstrikes were carried out using arms sold by the United States and the United Kingdom, amongst other superpower countries. The UK has sold over £11 billion worth of weapons to Saudi Arabia, according to the Campaign Against Arms Trades. In a 2019 UN report, it is said that the parties involved have violated human rights, which could be accounted to war crimes. In June 2019, the UK Court of Appeal declared the UK government's arms sales to Saudi Arabia as unlawful, but the UK continues to grant licenses of military equipment such as body armour to Saudi Arabia. Other countries, notably the US, Canada, France and Australia, continue to supply weapons or military equipment, whereas countries such as Norway, Germany, Finland and the Netherlands have suspended arms sales to Saudi-led coalitions. The coronavirus has now further destroyed Yemen. As COVID-19 spreads across the country, the crisis is getting pushed to its brink. This is an emergency within an emergency. As schools and hospitals close due to the pandemic, more than 11 million children are left vulnerable to the disease and without an education. The outbreak of diseases such as cholera and now the coronavirus has caused the breakdown of healthcare, water and sanitation systems. The civil war has destroyed the country's infrastructure, leading to widespread turmoil. But what can you do now? Well, there's a lot of things that you can do. Sign petitions, donate whatever you can, write to your local MP and talk about the UK's involvement in the Yemen war. Share and talk about it on social media. Silence is violence. Don't be ignorant, that is part of the problem. And lastly, this is the most important one, educate yourself. Understand why it's happening. Don't just share content on social media if you don't understand why it's happened in the first place. Finally, thank you for watching this video.